necessary saying what?
I mean, I do. Mandatory, yes.
You just don't like the
but
word.
I don't like the word mandatory. Offer, and I do think that it's necessary because, I mean, anything can happen. You know, married, not married, in a situationship, whatever. I just think that it's like it will help the process if you ever get to a point where you need a DNA test. Like, okay, it's already done. It's already set in stone. Then, like, what you were piggybacking off was saying about, like, before signing a birth certificate, I agree with that as well, because it just already eliminates the negativity that will come behind whatever happens in the relationship. And I'm not saying that everybody's relationship is going to fall to crap and this is going to be necessary. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And I don't think it means that there's any disloyalty in the relationship when it's like a requirement. I just think that, I mean, a long time ago, I don't know if they still do this, and I haven't ever registered to get married, but a long time ago, you had to take like STD tests before you know, applied for like a certification for marriage.
That's good. They don't do that anymore.
They used to test to see if you guys were related. Apparently, they don't do that anymore.
That's crazy.
Because you know, a lot of cousins.
Right.
Then, I mean, just
and
like
then later on, you go to jail for it. They
right.
The same.
Then you have, and this is mandatory. When you get pregnant, it's automatic. You have to get an STD test.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, just like you have to get tested for STDs when you get pregnant, I mean, I don't really see the harm. And that is not because you are doing something and it's a possibility you have an STD. It's actually just so that the physician knows about your medical history before they get started with their pregnancy care.
So that you don't risk the baby. But see, I know you don't like the word mandatory. This is my reason behind the mandatory part. I feel like it's an awkward scenario for some people because until the stigma goes away that DNA test is an insult to you and your character, when in reality it's like it's been proven cases where there's scenarios where someone who really thinks it's just them two and it turns out that baby's not theirs. They had to spend years and years paying money and taking care of the kid, which some don't mind after they find out, but you don't give them the option, which is not fair because as a woman, we know who entered us. They don't know 100%. They're just hoping that that's the case. So I feel like it should be mandatory where it takes... Anyway, the reason why, again, like, I'm supporting the whole mandatory thing is because I feel like it takes the pressure off of the dynamic of the mom and potential father. And it doesn't give it, like, you know, like, there's women that are manipulative, you know, that can play the role of, you really gonna do that, you gonna do this so you're not gonna be your child's life. Yeah. Even if it's a voluntary thing and they do it in the, at the hospital, when they go home, it can cause problems, which takes away from the fact that there's a new baby. So I feel like it takes the pressure off of giving them permission and doing it more of a mandatory thing. Like, look, if you want someone's name on the birth certificate, we must do this. That will save the court. I mean, I guess they benefit for the money that people have to pay, but it just would save so much, like, in the community and in the families. Like, you know, focus on the newborn baby, not the drama behind the babies. And then later on in life, when y'all break up, they're gonna throw out, you know, that ain't my baby anyway, or I'm not 100%. Then you have to go pay hundreds of dollars for another test, and then go into what's it called? We're filling the courts up with this heavy traffic for DNA tests. That's stupid. There's so many more things they can focus on. Because it's like, it takes off the tension.
I totally understand.
Because, you know, like, people don't like to be told what to do. It kind of works in the benefit of the child. It allows the child to know who their father is, at least, or who their father isn't, you know, like, instead of down the line.
Because I do think there are certain states that you know, despite the fact that there are some states where if you're the father at the time and you sign the birth certificate, i.e. California, and you're not the father, you're still responsible for paying that child support, and that's kind of messed up. Which is why this is such an unpopular opinion, because we're women who are saying DNA tests should be mandatory, whereas there's probably a lot of females that disagree with that, and probably a lot of males that respect our opinion that this is something that we think should be put in place.
Right. And I also feel like I wish it was like a thing where, you know how you can subpoena someone, or not you, but like they subpoena someone. Say like for, say okay, so for child support, you put the father's name down, and that father doesn't want anything to do with the child, so they're not on the birth certificate. They didn't come to the hospital. But I feel like there should be an option to do it without the child support aspect, where you could do the same thing, where you're subpoenaing them to take a DNA test. That way, that will also cut a lot of drama. Like in the sense of that ain't my baby, that's not my baby, that's not no. We can nip that in the butt early, where you have to legally come and get a DNA test.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is that the way the court system does it is that they make everything all inclusive. Like you might just want to go through the court just to get full custody, yet they're gonna want you to get child support, which you don't want. Or maybe you don't need it, and just the DNA test just to prove everything is what it is. And I think that the court systems they do break up families, but I feel like if you have to get the courts involved, then I mean it was kind of already broken to begin with. I know a lot of people like to say that the court systems are always breaking up families, and yes they do, but when it comes to like with the child, if you have to get the court involved because he's not or she's not a willing participant in that child's life, then it was already broken. So it's hard to say or point the finger at the court system. You guys gotta start looking at yourself and like, dang, maybe it's not just the court system. Maybe this is something that we're not doing, and now we gotta get people involved who don't need to be involved.
And of course, that's based off cases. Each case is
case by
different.
case.
Like,
I mean, everybody's story and situation is different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably married couples that are like, well, I'm not getting a DNA test. That's cool. I mean, but
and then years later, when you hear that bug in your ear, and that it's always, or that doubt that you already had originally, when it could be eased, and it'll take the pressure off of you, because guess what? It's the law. It's mandatory. Let's just do this just to do it. It makes it easier. It takes the pressure off of the parents, or even the woman, the lady. I said lady. The woman, or whoever. I don't know why. Let me start with her. The women who might feel embarrassed about the situation or anything like that. It just takes that pressure off, because they might want to know too, but they don't want to indicate it, and then they want to just save face. And then to go back and to chime in for from my own personal experience. The reason why I also suggested the DNA test be a separate option compared to just straight, what's it called, child support custody, there should be also a DNA option there when it comes to family cases. Because like in my situation, my business out there on YouTube, I'm not ashamed because it's not my fault if someone else is, ignorant enough to deny my child. Knowing that it is their child, but just they can say it and they can go about their life to make it, that's not my child, take the responsibility of themselves. By the courts, having that set up, it goes ahead and acts out so much drama for however many years it takes to get a DNA test. You know what I mean? Like, and the only way I could get a DNA test and have that person legally have to take one or take claim is child support. That's the only other option you have. So like, I know I'm not gonna get no money from the person, and I don't really care about the money, but I cared about the DNA test. But you have to do the child support. There's no other way to make him take a DNA test if he's not willing to do it, because he knows in his head, I'm not saying only him, but because that's the case in his, but in general, if it's in their head, they know they're the father, but they're going to, buy time by denying that it's their child. What other option do you have as a mother other than to just do child support to get that? So why can't we have another option where it's just DNA test? Get the DNA test, move on with your life. Like that type of stuff. Just to get it established, just to make sure you don't give your children any doubts in the future growing up.
I mean, I guess you could go to Maury.
But they have to be willing to come.
True.
It's not like they're obligated. Right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but some of them dudes be on that show. They don't look like they want to be there, but they go on there for TV, obviously.
Right. But then what if those people who don't care, you can't bribe them, no money in the world will take their way. You don't get an answer for your child that but you need to prove to move on with your life. You know what I mean? But that is true, I'm alright. But like, it needs to be mandatory then, so they could be forced to go, so that they can do it, because that is so important. Like,
yeah, there are probably like a whole process of like, I mean, trying to figure out how you're going to get him to do the DNA test within the time frame from the child is born, and if there's like a day that it needs to be done by, stuff like that. Because I think like certain states require you to name your baby within like
the first year.
Within a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe
It could be the same thing within that first year.
Yeah.
This DNA test that will be taken. If you absolutely don't know, of course, option would be if a mother doesn't want to name the father for any like, you know, cases like rape or abuse or anything like that. She can literally say she doesn't know who the father is. But it just at least it's, if she says this is the father, boom, they have to get a test, you know?
Yeah, that would probably really help eliminate a lot of what is that word called? It's right there at the tip of my
Shrine.
No. It's really bothering me that I can't remember this freaking word, but it's when people of the same family are having children together.
The incest thing.
Yeah, incest. It definitely helps.
Oh yeah, helps with
which
that.
is a very big thing and everywhere. It's very common.
It's crazy. I didn't even know that.
It's so gross. Yeah, it's freaking gross. So yeah, you know, incest is not cool, but I guess people.
In some countries and stuff like that, they're still with that.
Yeah, but like to be honest with you, incest is deeply rooted in America. Deep rooted in America. I mean, uncles and nieces and.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I didn't even know. Actually, I really didn't know.
No, it's actually really deep
America. I thought maybe
it started from like slavery. So yeah.
Oh,
I mean, and not just like black families. I'm talking about white families, Hispanic, families, like all kinds of families. It's deep rooted into the United States. So
that's very sad.
It's very sad.
I just want to say one more thing before we move on to the next video because it's already 6:30. On the other hand of that, as I realized, I had made a statement about like if the mother doesn't want to name it for any way, you know, reasons like that. I feel like again there should be like a clause there where just like a father can take the mother to court for like custody or, you know, child support, whatever the case is. It should be able to think where he can request the DNA test where it's then she's mandatory to provide, you know, take her child to get the test as well. So that way it makes it fair for each way.
Because
like,
it's really the best interest of the child.
Exactly.
And I feel like whichever parent has the best interest should really be the person to like fight for that.
Exactly.
I mean,
and have the right to fight.
It has it's the child.
Right.
Who wants to make a child's life miserable with all that stuff?
Right. So yeah. So that's our opinions on an unpopular opinion conversation topic. We're gonna do this often. I mean, not often, but we're gonna have a few more topics like this. Cause I actually like it. You know. Well, we like it. And so, yeah, but thank you guys for tuning into our video.
Yes, thanks for watching. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels. I am Shy Leo.
And I'm Jusbritt _.
Yes.
So, yeah, stay tuned for more videos coming soon.
Yes, very soon.
Yes.
Videos.